Happy Hanukkah.
Put on your yarmulke, here comes Hanukkah.
And happy holidays from the voice of Nassau Community College.
This is the award-winning 90.3 WHPC.
WHPC HD Garden City.
Available anytime on your smart speaker and anywhere on iHeartRadio.
90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Welcome to another edition of From the Press Box, part of the WHPC Sports Talk family. We're on Mondays 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Sports Talk Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. And then, of course, one more edition every Tuesday at 10 p.m. I am Rob Leonard, and joining me via the phone is award-winning sports writer, and yes, my brother. Also, we should say, born on the same day as the baby Jesus. My brother, Tim Leonard. Hello, Tim Leonard. How are you?
Good morning, brother. I am fine.
Happy
How are you
birthday.
doing?
2 days early.
Thank you.
We wish everyone a happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas. And, of course, my brother, happy birthday, because like Jesus, Timmy is pure. And Jesus was a sports fan, too. I don't know if people knew that.
I had no idea.
Well, he was. He likes sports. Anyway, how we doing, brother?
Even back then, Jesus was a Yankees fan.
I'm sure he was. Anyway, shock, brother. Shocking. I don't even know how to handle it. This is so shocking. The Jets and the Giants both won on the same day. Did something happen? Did something amiss happen? I don't know. What happened, brother. It's week 16 it took to them to win on the same day.
Yeah, it took a long time, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Shocking, but true.
Yeah, well, that's how bad the 2019 football season has been here in New York, brother. Let's put it this way: it's so bad that yesterday, while I was kind of finishing up my Christmas shopping.
I hope you didn't get me anything, because I didn't get you anything.
Of course. Why
I keep telling everyone I don't want anything. I don't need anything. And I don't want to buy anything, because you don't need anything either, brother.
Yes, brother. Whatever you say.
Suzanne doesn't need anything. Mom does,
wonderful.
But, God knows what she got.
How you embrace the season.
Well, I say I want to get something from Mom. Oh, that's too expensive. Well, then you're blocking me in a corner here. And I don't know what to get you.
Means.
Like you need anything. I don't need anything.
That's true, I do.
No, I know you don't. What do you need?
If you say so, brother.
I don't need anything. I know that. So.
Well, he probably could use a few things.
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. Anyway, continue, brother. I'm sorry.
Anyway, this season as we have discussed for the last 16 weeks. Has pretty much been a complete train wreck for the New York football teams. I will say the Jets have won 5 of their last 7 games. I think it almost has been lost a little bit because they're still as bad as they are. They're still 6-9 after their win yesterday. But really, right now, the Jets should be 8-7.
I agree,
because you have a loss to the winless Dolphins in that span. You have a loss to the winless Bengals in that span. So let's face it, the Jets right now, we should be talking about how do they have a chance in the final week to win a wild card spot.
But then again, brother, they did beat the Steelers yesterday, and the Steelers are a good team. So
the Steelers are a pretty good team. The Steelers
well, compared to the Jets.
No, but you know what? You know where the Jets have a substantial advantage over the Steelers is, believe it or not, at quarterback. Because the Steelers have 2 guys who aren't NFL starters, and say what you will about Sam Darnold, but Sam Darnold is an NFL starting quarterback.
Of course, he starts.
But he's also good enough to start. He's not great yet. But he certainly is good enough to be the guy out there every week.
Okay.
Pittsburgh has 2 guys that's not the case. Is the easy way to put it, the simple way to put it, because neither one of them is good enough really to be an NFL starter. And the only reason that they are starting is because Ben Roethlisberger was injured. So, I mean, you can look at it any way you want, but those are the facts. Mason Rudolph is not an NFL or not the caliber of an NFL starting quarterback. That's just a fact.
Okay, I'll go with you on that one.
Devin Hodges, who actually started the game for Pittsburgh yesterday, same thing. I mean, he was actually replaced yesterday by Mason Rudolph. So when you're talking about two guys who, let's face it, they're probably as good as I don't even remember. What was that guy? The backup that started a couple of games. I don't even remember his name. That's how bad he was.
Imagine you're like the backup quarterback, and you hear people like you saying, "Well, he's not an NFL quarterback, even though he's in the NFL."
He's not.
I know, but I'm just saying.
But do you remember the guy's name? I can't even remember his name.
No, I can't remember his name.
Something like that.
I can't remember his name.
Whatever his name was. I remember it was 4 letters. That was about it.
Okay.
But those, but that's the assessment that you get as a professional athlete. So if you have a thin skin about it, then you have two choices. Either number one, get better, or number two, go do something else. So that's the job. That's part of the job is to have your performance assessed by thousands of people on a daily basis. And it's worse in baseball because there are games every day. At least with the NFL, there's one game a week.
Right. No, that's understandable.
That's the job of a professional athlete. So congratulations to the Jets because this win, it was a good win from the standpoint of it's not the Dolphins and it's not some of the weak teams that the Jets have been playing in recent weeks. I mean, the Steelers, and this is the other thing I didn't really understand, is there were a lot of Jet fans yesterday who were thrilled that the Jets derailed the Steelers' playoff hopes.
Well, it gives them something to shoot for, brother. I was surprised that there weren't more Steeler fans there yesterday.
There were a lot of them. I saw them in the city when I was.
Well, yeah, that's an easy trip for Pittsburgh guys. That's like 7 hours. Oh yeah, I'm there.
Yeah, they're also Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is one of those teams that they have a lot of followers or fans outside of Pittsburgh.
Right, and
they're like the AFC version of the Cowboys.
Right, and that goes back to when the second game was always on Channel 2 and Channel 4, NFC and AFC, and it was usually the Steelers and the Cowboys, on different channels.
Because the Steelers were for a long time, they were a great team.
Yeah, you had Bradshaw leading the way.
Right.
Yeah.
They won a lot. But what I was saying about the Jets, I mean, we talked about this. The first game of this kind of second half schedule was the Dolphins. They should have won that game. Then it's been the Giants, the Redskins, the Raiders, who the Raiders have turned out to be a really bad team.
Right.
We were kind of stunned a little bit when they beat the Raiders 34-3, but the Raiders have until yesterday they actually beat the Chargers, but the Raiders for 4 games were awful, like absolutely awful.
I personally think part of it has to do with the fact that they're moving, and the Oakland fans, as much as they still care, I'm sure they're still going to care. I think there was a little disconnect between the team and the fans, and it's like, okay, we're out of here, and we don't want to leave them, loving us. Basically, you want it's a little hatred. Hatred maybe is the wrong word, but it's like when the Dodgers moved. It's like when the Dodgers moved. People in Brooklyn are still angry 75 years later.
Well, I don't know that impacts anything the team is doing because they still have to play football.
Yeah,
And it's not like they're moving in a week or two. It's they got a season to play, and then when by the time they get ready for next season, then things will have been moved. That's the NFL off season is a long time. It takes a while. But anyway, going back to this, like I said, Raiders, they won 34-3. Then they lose to the Bengals. They beat the Dolphins. And then they lose to the Ravens, which was to be expected. And, yesterday they beat a Steelers team that, like I said, it's been the Steelers this season, the fact that they're still in position to maybe make the playoffs, to me, is a credit to Mike Tomlin, the coach, because he's done a great job this year, and it's a great job that will probably go unrecognized because the Steelers probably won't make the playoffs.
Right.
But just the fact that the Steelers are 8-7 is astounding to me because they lost Ben Roethlisberger so early, and like I said, Mason Rudolph has been your quarterback most of the season. So, to me, Mike Tomlin this season has been a miracle worker, and it's nobody's going to say that because, like I said, 8-7, people are going to look at it. But Adam Gase, the Jets should be 8-7.
Imagine if they were.
They should be.
I know that,
There's
but
no reason they shouldn't be.
I know that, but imagine they were. I mean, they started so poorly, and then if they had gotten to 8-7, and then maybe 9-7 after next week.
I know, but I mean, again, listen to the teams: Dolphins, Giants, Redskins, Raiders, Bengals. I mean, that right there should be 5 wins in a row.
I agree. I'm not saying.
And then Dolphins again, and then Steelers. I mean, you're talking about just an absurdly soft schedule. So the Jets, could the Jets be a playoff team right now? Yes, they probably should be a playoff team or close to it. Right, they should be playing for their playoff life next week, and that would be against Buffalo, by the way, and they'll lose that game.
Right.
So it'd almost be like what was it, 2-3 years ago when Fitzpatrick had them in. They were playing. In fact, they were playing Buffalo again in the final game. What did he throw? Five interceptions?
Yeah, something like that.
The Jets finally played a game that mattered, and it was a nightmare.
Anyway, the Jets beat Pittsburgh 16-10, and Darnold had a pretty good game. Not a great game, but a pretty good game.
He was okay. Yeah, I mean, he to me, he managed the game. He didn't do anything to lose the game. So, it was almost like one of those kind of Mark Sanchez kind of games back in the day, where he except Sanchez did a little more to screw it up because Sanchez, as I always used to say, and will maintain until I know for a fact that he's never going to pull on an NFL uniform again, which I think we're at because he's doing studio work now for Fox Sports, but
let him do it.
Sanchez was 2 picks every game,
of course.
So you'd have to work around it. Sam Darnold yesterday didn't throw any picks. He was 16 for 26, 123 yards and a touchdown.
183
yards. But the good thing for the Jets, scored on their first drive.
Right.
So immediately puts Pittsburgh on its heels. Pittsburgh, as I said, is a team that is struggling in large part because they can't get decent quarterback play. So everything is on their defense, and they're hoping to get a good running game. But now they're to the point where they have a decent number of injuries. They lost a few guys yesterday as well during the game, including the running back James Conner, including one of their linemen, the big lineman Pouncey. So they're taking hits as they go along. The key guys, which certainly isn't going to help them because, again, being without Ben Roethlisberger is a massive loss for them. So, like I said, I give the Jets credit. They are up to 6-9. I still think yesterday's loss ultimately will be more damaging than it is helpful because at this point they're playing for draft picks, and every win takes you a little bit further away from a better player. Much like yesterday, the Giants beating the Redskins may have cost them Chase Young,
right?
Who everybody is looking at as probably the number 2 pick overall, the pass rusher from Ohio State, who is supposed to be of a Lawrence Taylor quality. So that to me is not necessarily a good thing that they won that game. It's good for pride. It's good for
pride. But you know what? That's where you got to play, Tim. And I know we've always disagreed on this about playing for the draft pick or something. But you know what? The players who are playing right now They don't worry about the draft pick guys because one of them might lose their job because of them, or two of them, depending on what the.
That's always been my point, brother. That's always what I've said is, as fans, we can look at this and say, well, they need to lose, they need to do this. The thing that fans don't take into account is you can't. If you're a player, you can't just play to lose and say, oh well, geez, we'll just get the draft pick, because every player gets evaluated after the season's over.
Right. And
if the coaches and general managers and I think when the Giant evaluations begin, I think they'll be done by new personnel. I don't think Shermer's going to survive the season. I don't think Gettleman is going to survive the season. I think both of them have been replaced by the time we're talking about this team for 2020. But in terms of those evaluations, these guys are playing for their jobs for next year. They're not, you can't just coast through the last couple of games and say, oh, well, none of it matters because we're playing for Chase Young. So, that's why when I say, you look at it and you can't just blow it off and say, well, Chase Young, they screwed up Chase Young, because like I said, these guys are playing for their careers.
Yep.
So all of that evaluation goes on every day, and that's how you become a better team, is through those evaluations and with the judgment of, all right, well, this guy can help us be a better team, and these two guys can't help us be a better team. They have to go.
No, I agree.
I agree. Obviously the Giants are not going to be an 11-win team next season or 2 years from now if they decide that, we don't need to make any changes.
That's true.
They're not a good football team right now. So
no,
that is how you get better. You have to say, all right, these people can help us. These people can't help us. We need to move on from them. And that's when. So when the fans get upset and get frustrated and say, well, geez, we just lost Chase Young. That's why, because the guys who are there now have careers to play for and want to be professional footballs for at least another year or two.
Right. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Tim, you're at Twitter at
Real Tim Leonard.
I will fully admit that whole wheat bread is healthier than other breads, but there's a reason we have white bread. It tastes better, it has better texture, it's fluffier. Have you ever heard of a PB&J pumpernickel?
There isn't even that much of a difference, except whole wheat has more fiber. It's healthier than white bread.
I have just 3 words for you. Pastrami on rye. Drop the mic.
Have you ever had rye bread? It's disgusting. It's coarse. It's hard to chew when they have seeds. Disgusting.
Well, you've never had pastrami and rye, or you wouldn't be saying that.
Guys, what are you arguing about bread? This is a political show.
Join us on the Friendly Filibuster every Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Okay.
Yo. Tell your friends about the Nassau Morning Madhouse. Hear what you're missing.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Dating terms were born in the 2010s. Here we go. The first entry for slide into DMs on Urban Dictionary is from 2014. Ghosting. Ghosting became popular in 2015 as we really needed a way to sum up the most passive-aggressive way of ending things with someone. Catfish. The Catfish documentary came out in 2010 and gave us a term to describe people pretending to be someone else online.
Yeah.
Swiping left and right.
Yeah,
I'm always swiping. You know what term I'm always hearing?
What's that?
Get away from me, you creep. Or,
no.
I had that
Hey,
before.
you in the bushes. What are you doing there?
What are you doing in my bedroom?
Is that on the list?
Pull up your pants?
Yeah, that one as well.
I've had that problem.
Oh, my God.
The Nassau Morning Madhouse. Weekday mornings from 7 to 9. On the voice of Nassau Community College.
90.3 WHPC.
Shake off the realities of the day, broaden your musical horizons, and embrace the diversity every Monday afternoon at 5 for 2 hours of Revelations. The show offers a potently unique collection of music with an emphasis on themes and rock rarities, an occasional tour de force of blues and soul, mixed with compelling sets of folk and folk rock. I'm Steve Kay, and I've got the perfect soundtrack for your drive home every Monday afternoon at 5. On Revelations, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
We're back here on from the press box right here on 90.3 WHPC. The voice of Nassau Community College. I'm Rob Leonard. On the phone for today only is Tim Leonard, my co-host. Hello, Timothy. How are we doing today? Tim?
Outstanding, brother.
Okay,
How are
just
you?
Making sure you didn't fall asleep there. Yeah.
Not possible, brother.
I know that.
Not possible when I'm speaking sports with you.
Of course. You know, the fun we have. Let's quickly talk about the Giants. But before we get to the Giants, brother, imagine if the Giants were slightly better this year, because the Eagles beat up on the Cowboys yesterday, 17-9. They are now in first place in the NFC East, 8-7. Now, if you remember the beginning of the season, everyone was like saying, "Oh, the Cowboys, it's their season, it's their season." They've been pathetic. Sorry, Cowboy Nation, you guys have been pathetic.
Yeah, pathetic is the right word.
Yeah, I know.
Glad you know, brother. But let's face facts. The term "beat up" is a little overstatement of what happened yesterday. That was a terrible game.
It was, but what I'm saying is that the fact that the Eagles have been in second place all year, and the fact that they had to win, and they did, to me is a beat up.
It was the game. The game just underscored the ineptitude of the NFC East, and we're gonna have more of it next week because the Giants play the Eagles next week, and the Cowboys will play the Redskins on the final day of the season. So we'll see if the Cowboys can. We'll see if the so-called contenders can each win a game.
So technically, you could have a 500 team winning the NFC East.
Oh, it's entirely possible. I mean, somebody has to win the division.
Yeah, I know. It's like, no, you take it. No, you take it. No, you take it.
Yeah, and you know, I guess I'll say hopefully the Eagles win it because I'm certainly not an Eagles fan, and I know a lot of hardcore Giants fans who absolutely despise the Eagles, much like I despise the Red Sox. But when you look at what's going on, and if you're a Giants fan, you kind of have to hope that they don't win next week because again, I mean, it goes back to draft picks and the hope that that the Giants can be in position to get themselves a difference maker, or if not a difference maker, at least be in position to possibly trade the pick. Because if teams decide they want to trade up and they want to get in position for like let's put it this way, I think Joe Burrow is probably going to be the number one pick to Cincinnati. Then you're looking at right now the Redskins would have a number 2 pick,
right? And
I figure they would take Chase Young.
Okay, well, I mean, but you know what? Look at that. Right now, the Giants are only 4 games out of first place. If they had won a few more games that they maybe could have won or should have won, think about it. If you're going to go 8-8,
you can say that all day, but can you point to 4 games that the Giants should have won?
No, I can't.
And the answer to that is no. I'm not even sure that Giant fans can point to 2 games that they should have won. The Giants, as the saying goes, they are, as the old Denny Green line, they are what we thought they are, or they are what they thought we were. That's what the Giants are. They're not a very good team, and I don't think that anybody really thought they were going to be a very good team. Any team that takes a quarterback as their first pick, they really shouldn't expect the following season to be an overly improved team because you have to give that quarterback a year to have himself some growing pains, and that's pretty much any team that takes a quarterback. You should not expect. I mean, sometimes
you can say that about the coach. You can say that about the coach too, Tim.
Well, I mean, I can't put this on Shermer because people are down on Shermer and say, well, he can't coach, and we know he can't coach. You know what? This team's been terrible. To me, I put more of this on. I don't even want to say entirely on Gettleman because the Gettleman's predecessor certainly didn't leave them any recipe for success.
No.
So this is something that goes back probably in the neighborhood of 5 years because you have to put together a team and you need quality draft picks. So when you're looking at guys like Eric Flowers and Eli Apple and guys who were pretty high picks. You can't just look at them and ignore the fact that the Giants just whiffed on several number one picks. And that's why they are where they are right now, is because the draft has been terrible. And even in free agency, they have not gotten guys that were going to stick around for any kind of length of time. So, that's what I'm looking at is even going back to like Jerry Reese and some of the decisions that were made at the end of his run. But that's what you're looking at with the Giants, and that's why they are now in the situation that they are. Because poor free agent signings, because some of them at the time were regarded as being what the Giants needed, and like Nate Solder, for example, lineman. They signed him from the Patriots. He's supposedly one of the best left tackles in football, and he hasn't been good. He has not come close to earning the money that they're paying him. But now you're stuck with the guy. Now what are you going to do? If you cut him, first of all, now you have to go get a new left tackle. Those are very expensive, and now you have dead money on your cap, like the Odell Beckham money. I mean, that's another one. They sign him to this big contract, and then less than a year later they trade him.
Right. Let's quickly talk about the game yesterday, brother. Daniel Jones, 352 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, 41-35 over the Skins. It was Jones
in overtime.
Yeah.
The worst. I'll talk positive first. Daniel Jones yesterday had one of the all-time great games by a rookie quarterback in modern NFL history. The only rookie quarterback to throw since 1950 to throw for 300+ yards and 5 or more touchdowns in a game is Matthew Stafford, who's on now quarterback for the Detroit Lions. But he's the only one. So what Giants fans saw yesterday was a historical performance. Now, that being said, the Giants almost lost the game.
And to the Redskins.
The defense, to the Redskins. I mean, this was a byproduct of the Giants having a very good day because Saquon Barkley rushed for 189 yards and a touchdown. Also caught a touchdown pass. But it was a combination of a couple of historic games because that was Saquon Barkley's career high in rushing yards, but also playing against a terrible team. So if you have guys who are supposed to be part of your future and guys who you have determined that, all right, this is, Daniel Jones, yes, he's going to be the Giants quarterback for the next several seasons, whether people like it or not. And at the draft, they didn't like it. But he's your guy. So it's encouraging that he can have a game like this, and especially coming off an injury and after not playing for 2 weeks.
Right. But
yesterday kind of gave Giant fans reason to dream. And Barkley said it after the game. He said, this is why they got Daniel Jones and me, because this is what we can do. And this is he said this is kind of a little snapshot of the future. Well, let's not expect these performances on a weekly basis because again they were playing a terrible team yesterday. But the fact that both of them performed like they did offers Giants fans a little bit of encouragement in what has been a completely discouraging season.
Sure. Now, next week, by the way, brother, it's Eagles at MetLife Stadium for the Giants at 4:30 or 4:25. Do you think Eli gets a couple of touches, or is he thinking, his game was last week and let's walk out with that?
I was thinking about that yesterday, and it would not have surprised me if yesterday's game was the final game of the season. It would not have surprised me to see Eli Manning in the fourth quarter yesterday. And as it turned out, it would have been for the best for the Giants. Never mind as like a little bit of a curtain call for Eli, because the Giants didn't score in the fourth quarter yesterday. And it was a very exciting game. I mean, the Giants are leading 35-21 going into the fourth quarter, and then they don't score at all in the fourth quarter. And Washington gets 2 touchdowns through backup Case Keenum, by the way, because Dwayne Haskins Jr. wound up getting hurt and wound up getting carted off the field. But maybe Eli would have gotten him a touchdown. I don't know. But they needed points. And the fact they were up 35-21 and still actually needed points to win the game is not a tribute to the defense by any means, especially, like, let's face facts, Washington's not a great offense. But, then they had to go to overtime, and Danny Dimes got touchdown pass number 5, a 3-yard to Caden Smith, who I will acknowledge I didn't know his name until about 2 weeks ago.
That's okay.
But it's Caden Smith's second touchdown of the game, and that was the winner. So, I don't know. It's hard for me to get excited about these wins. Like I said, I'm trying to look at it in a historical perspective and also in a future perspective, because if you look at the Giants' offense, there is a decent core there. And a lot of that will be determined by Jones's progress next season, and can he eliminate his incredible penchant for fumbling? He's got to be able to protect the ball better. It's incredible to me how easily the football is poked out of his hands, and I don't know if he has small hands or what, but it just seems like it's really easy for opposing defenses to get the ball out of his hands and put it on the ground.
Right.
But if you look at Saquon Barkley, Daniel Jones, Darius Slayton, who I keep praising and extolling as just an outstanding 5th-round pick. You got Evan Ingram and Golden Tate. Don't forget, Golden Tate's signed a 4-year contract before this season. He's going to be around. Unless a desperate team decides to trade for him, he's going to be on a New York Football Giant for the next 5 seasons. But that's not a bad, that's not a bad little core.
No, that's pretty good.
I would really love an impact receiver, because I think Slayton ultimately will be better served as a number 2. But Odell Beckham Jr. is not walking through that door anytime soon, as to paraphrase Rick Pitino back in the day. But that's an offense that should be able to get things done if you put a decent line around them, and give them some time to operate and some holes to run through. So, is there some reason for optimism for the Giants? Yeah, I guess. But, there's still a good amount of work that still needs to be done by whoever the general manager will be next season. And I'm not holding out any hope that will be Dave Gettleman, because I think he's going to get fired a day or two after the season ends.
That quickly, not like a week.
Yeah. Well, there's no reason for the Giants to not pull the trigger on this, and there's no reason for them to allow Gettleman and Shermer to function in their roles, because if they do, then they're just wasting time. They need to find a successor. They need to be in front of other teams in terms of finding the successor and trying to figure out who those best people are going to be. Who do you want as your new general manager? Give him time to figure out who he wants the next coach to be, and you don't do that by delaying what should be an inevitable decision for a team that is now 4-11,
sure,
and has not been good really for about a decade now. I mean, let's face it, the Giants have had awful season after awful season for much of the 2010s.
It's tough being a New York fan right now, except for the Islanders.
Exactly,
really.
Except for the Islanders. The Islanders are the only good team in town right now, until baseball season comes around.
That's true. We're going to take a break right now. You're listening to From the Press Box right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. If you want to hear this show again, or you missed part of it or whatever, or go back and listen to some of the older shows, some of the interviews we've had, go to Spreaker.com and look for the show From the Press Box.
A Super Bowl champion, U.S. Congressman, publisher of Long Island Business News, award-winning authors, physical fitness, life coach, and celebrities like Billy Crystal and Eddie Murphy. I had no idea so many awesome people got their start at Nassau Community College.
Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and Lion Tales are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50-plus years. Hosted by Aurora Workman, the president of Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and Dr. Linda Nadian, a proud Nassau graduate. Let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales, a Nassau Community College Foundation production. Listen every Monday afternoon at 3:30 on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hey, I just got a ticket from one of those red light cameras.
Good news. My show, Law You Should Know, can help you fight that.
My brother just got arrested for shoplifting.
My show has info about that too.
My mom told me she's worried about whether she needs a will.
Law You Should Know can help her with that.
My cousin was hurt in a car accident. Can he sue?
Law You Should Know can help with that too.
My uncle has some legal questions, but he doesn't think he can afford a lawyer.
Tell him to be sure to listen to Law You Should Know every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for lots of free info about the law right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
All hit music. For all those songs radio has forgotten about. Join me, Big Ed, Mondays from 10 a.m. till noon for The Good Gold Show. We'll bring back all the great hits of the 50s, 60s, 70s, and more. The sounds of doo-wop to disco, all the Motown, soul, and great rock and roll. We'll even take your requests and dedications to The Good Gold Show. Music. On the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC, and streaming on the iHeartRadio app.
.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. This is From the Press Box. I'm Rob Leonard. And, of course, my co-host is award-winning sports writer. And, yes, my brother, happy birthday in 2 days, Tim Leonard. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I got you no present, so just enjoy our time together.
Typical.
Yeah, you know. So what do I get? What do I get the brother who has everything? You know, he has the best brother in the world. You know, think of that. Think of that
lucky.
gift. Think of that gift. How much that's worth? Lucky. How much that's worth?
The gift that was there before I was born.
That's right. That's right. Anyway, brother, Garrett Cole had to shave and get a haircut. Sadly.
Oh, I know you were feeling that one, brother.
I was feeling that. I thought that.
I know that was a tragic one.
I thought that rule would have been gone by the time, you know, after George had died. You know, Hal, I could see like Hank not caring, but Hal, I don't know. He's just
Don't bring up Hank. You keep bringing up Hank.
I love
Don't
Hank.
bring up Hank.
Hank
was in the job for 2 weeks. Don't bring up Hank.
I love Hank.
There's no reason. I know you love him.
I love him.
He's not part of the decision-making process.
I know.
And that's a good thing.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, it's a good thing. Trust me, it's a good thing.
I don't know, man. Hal's a little, little tentative, I think, sometimes.
I was glad. You can't say that Hal was tentative about Garrett Cole.
There
was no tentative about this signing.
No, that's true, because he heard Tim Leonard say it a couple of weeks ago that they should sign
Exactly. He heard me say the Yankees need Garrett Cole. And that is the difference between the Yankees being a very good team and being a legitimate World Series contender. And now there are articles already being written on websites like ESPN.com and MLB.com that have the Yankees as the favorite to win the World Series next year. And unless the Yankees sign Garrett Cole, those articles are not being written. Those thoughts are not being thought. Because right now, other teams are positioning themselves to try to be better than the Yankees next year. That's where we are right now.
Well, you sign one of the best pitchers in baseball. You know, you get that. One thing that I thought was pretty cool, you know, for those who don't know, he'd gone to, what was it, 2001 World Series?
No, it was
2000.
Let me see. He's 29, 2000. Oh wait, no, 2001.
it
would have been 11. Yeah, 2000.
He had a sign,
Sounds right.
which was down in the box seat there. It said "Yankee fan today, tomorrow, and forever," and he still has the sign. He brought it to the press conference.
He got mocked on Twitter for that. I thought that was a great touch because so many stories had been written and references had been made to him being the kid holding that sign. And the fact that he still had it and it was sitting in a closet back home in California, I thought that was a nice touch that he brought it with him.
I thought so, too, and they already have a T-shirt out on it. But do they take – now, you saw it. I didn't. Do they take the actual sign, or does it just say Yankee?
No, it's not the same lettering. Let's put it that way.
What they should have done is taken the sign and shrunk it to fit it on a T-shirt, and then give Garrett a little money out of it. I'm sure they don't want to do that, but that's like a little extra thing. Hey, Garrett, your sign is now on a T-shirt, and here's a little percentage. Not that he needs it.
Because Garrett needs more money.
You do the charity thing. I'm sure Garrett will have one, in a couple of weeks. But if he doesn't already,
if he doesn't already, he definitely should get himself a charity like Derek Jeter did.
Yeah, they all get charities for many reasons, and so they don't get bothered. That's basically the reason.
Well, no, because it's good for the community. It's good to give back. It's when you're making $324 million over 9 years, yeah, it's good to give back. It's good to help people out and to allow your talent to help people who need help. That's the right thing to do. I mean, Dave Winfield, he did that. The Winfield Foundation helped a lot of people.
He's one of the first ones really to have that big name thing.
Well, I mean, there were some before him, but he was one of the more noticeable ones because the Winfield Foundation did a lot of good things. Derek Jeter's Turn 2 Foundation has impacted a lot of different lives in a lot of different areas, and that's the same thing. And then I mean, there are some athletes who they do it on a smaller scale, and there are some who do it. Jeter. Jeter said he kind of took kind of a page out of the Winfield Foundation. He wanted it to be something big, and he wanted to impact people's lives, and especially the lives of kids.
Right.
Because that was something that he saw growing up. So he wanted to make a difference, and he certainly has done that.
We should say, brother, that there might have been another reason why Garrett Cole signed with the Yankees, not just Tim Leonard saying that they should sign him. It seems that there's the clubhouse manager, the visiting clubhouse manager.
I love the story.
I'll let you tell it because it's a great story.
And I'm sure a lot of people have read about this, but the relationships that players develop over the course of their careers, and one of them that you wouldn't expect kind of came back to help the Yankees. And was this any kind of deciding factor for Garrett Cole? Probably not. But when you look at the Yankees' visiting clubhouse manager is a guy by the name of Lou Kakuza, and he's been in that position for a lot of years. And I think he took that job from his dad because I'm pretty sure it's been a family position. But Kakuza has gotten to know Garrett Cole over the years as a visiting player. And he took a little nugget that Garrett Cole had told him about several years ago, or at least a couple years ago, that Cole had showed Kakuza pictures of a vacation that he took in Florence, Italy, and told him about a meal that he had there. And it was, Cole is a wine aficionado, which kind of comes with the territory of making several $1 million a year. But the name of this bottle was Massetto Merlot, which apparently is a pretty amazing bottle of wine, and goes for somewhere in the neighborhood of $700 to $800 a bottle. So probably a bottle of wine I'll never try.
Something you could afford, brother. I know that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my standard nightly quaff. But Kakuza remembers this. And he tips off Yankees brass. So when they go to Garrett Cole's house in California to have sit-downs with him and talk to him, because Brian Cashman likes to do that. He likes to sit down with the players, especially big money contracts, and he likes to actually have a long conversation with them and tell them about why they should sign with the Yankees and why the Yankees in New York are the best place for them. And there was a big video presentation, and you try to make it as personal as possible because yes, it's about money, and yes, you have to make at the very least a representative offer. But anybody who's in that position and anybody who's even looking for a job, you want to go to a place where you feel cared for, where you feel valued. And so when Brian Cashman and Yankees Brain Trust, I'll say, went to California to sit down with Garrett Cole, they brought a couple of bottles of Maceto Merlot. And Garrett Cole said in his introductory press conference last week, he had no clue how they figured this out. And how did they figure this out? And how did they find the bottles? And, how did the Yankees make this happen? And he said it took him a while. He was like, couldn't sleep that night after the Yankees had showed up. And then he remembered that he had this conversation with Lou Kakuza, how many years ago about this dinner that he had in Florence and this phenomenal bottle of wine that he said was his favorite wine now. So it was that little tidbit. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that because the Yankees, brought a couple of bottles of wine with them, that Garrett Cole agreed to a contract, because obviously $324 million over 9 years was a much more.
Well, you know what, Tim, he grew up a Yankee fan too. And that's a big draw. That's the equivalent of saying, well, the New York Rangers have offered, so and so Tim Leonard $1 billion, and then look at the Islanders. They've come with salary that's close enough. Who do you pick? The point being that Garrett Cole grew up in California, and a lot of people expected him to go to either the Angels or the Dodgers. But the Yankees are an international thing. You know that.
Yeah, I get it. I get it. But really, the Angels are home for him. The Dodgers certainly have at least as much money to spend as the Yankees do. And the Angels, Artie Moreno, their owner, is certainly not shy about spending money. He gave Matt Harvey $11 million last year. He's not shy about spending money.
Because Matt Harvey deserves every cent, brother.
Oh my God, it was terrible. I said it last year; it was a terrible contract. I was glad I was right.
Our friend Ken Elsner said that. So
what
did he say that on Facebook to you that leave Matt Harvey alone?
Basically. Yeah. So I'm not going to get into that. Yeah, everybody's allowed a mulligan. But basically, my point is that Garrett Cole, at the end of the day, like I said, money is going to be the deciding factor. But when you look at, hey, these guys care enough about me that they're paying attention to my conversations. They know what I like. They made this happen. And again, deciding factor, no. But anybody who's looking for signs or looks at it and says, well, hey, this organization is going to take care of me, or these people care about their people, that is something that I think Garrett Cole kind of looked at and said, you know what? I'm not going to have any second guesses about coming here. And that, I think it says a lot, because that wasn't always the case with the Yankees. When George Steinbrenner was back in the day, and he was looking for players to target, for lack of a better word, it wasn't necessarily the place that players wanted to be, because players just want to be able to play and not have to worry about outside influences. And instead, now the Yankees are more of a place where players want to come. And one of the, obviously the very big reason is because you're looking at the possibility of contending for a World Series title every year. And that ultimately is what players want. But players also want to get paid. And if you can combine those two things, that is the ultimate for any player. Because, if you look at this, even just look at this week, in the last few days, Hyun-Jin Ryu, the Dodgers pitcher who was second to Jacob deGrom in the National League Cy Young voting this year. He apparently has agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with the Blue Jays. Well, you know what? He's not going to contend. So he's looking to just get paid.
That's not a bad payment, brother.
Oh, it's a great payment. But Dallas Keuchel, same thing. 3 years, $55 million with the White Sox. Apparently, that was being reported last night. So the free agent dominoes are toppling much faster than last season. But when you look at these two guys, the White Sox, I don't think they're going to contend. They might. They've signed a couple of free agent pitchers, and they're trying. I think they're trying to accelerate the process of making their franchise a contender again, because they do have a good farm system. But I still think they're 2 years away.
All right.
But the Blue Jays are far further away than 2 years, but they also have a good farm system. So they're putting pieces in place. But
okay.
Is it the same as what happened with Garrett Cole?
A couple of things, brother.
Sure.
Yoenis Cespedes, his 2020 salary has been reduced down to $6 million. He lost $23.5 million, as reported by the AP.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember, brother. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, and the number that was being floated around back then was, I think, more than $10 million. So this is even Cespedes took an even bigger hit, and the only reason that I can think of, and it really hasn't been reported, but the only thing that I can think of is the Mets had evidence that Cespedes had evidence of a contractual violation by Cespedes, because if you remember, Cespedes, like the story was, he stepped in a hole in his ranch in Florida while he was rehabbing from the dual surgeries that he had for plantar fasciitis, and those multiple fractures that meant he was definitely going to miss all of last season and might miss some of this season. But Cespedes didn't contest the decision because it was going to go to arbitration. The Mets had decided to do this. It was going to go to arbitration. Then they negotiated it, and obviously Cespedes knew he did something wrong and he wasn't going to win the arbitration. So they settled on $6.5 million. There's all kinds of incentives in it. He could wind up earning $20 million if he makes 650 plate appearances, but that seems like a long shot.
That seems like a very
and the other thing, Cespedes, this was staggering to me when I read this. Cespedes signed a 4-year, $110 million contract. This 2020 will be the final year of that contract.
Bye-bye.
He has played 119 games in those first 3 seasons. So basically the Mets have paid Cespedes, and I'll round this off, but approximately $80 million thus far to play 119 games. That's a bad contract.
Bad is right. The Islanders are doing well.
Pretty good.
They're lost the last 2 at home.
Little struggle right now.
Yeah.
Big win over the Bruins the other day, though. That was a good win because the Bruins are in first place. I don't even know what division they're in. What's that, the Atlantic?
I'll find out in a minute.
I'll look. But, that was a good win because the Bruins are in first place, and they are a good team. And it came after, the Atlantic Division for the Bruins. But it came after, a loss, but then they wound up sandwiching a loss around it. But it came after that horrible 8-3 loss to the Nashville Predators at home. I mean, that was a disaster of a performance.
Yes,
and I was watching that game. The Islanders actually took a 3-1 lead on a shorthanded goal, and then Thomas Greiss just fell apart, and the Islanders' defense fell apart. I mean, 8 goals. That's a couple of weeks worth usually for the Islanders. Yeah. And to give up that many goals in one game, and then after the game after the win over Boston, the Islanders lost 6-5 to Anaheim in overtime. I mean, again, it's just far too many goals.
Yeah, Capitals still ahead of the Islanders though. 37 games played, 57 points. Islanders with 34 games played with 49 points. So, they Capitals keep playing very good.
Yeah,
incredible.
Yeah, they're the best team in the league, and
I hate to say
unfortunately for the Islanders, they're chasing the best team in the league.
Right. Knicks, I can't believe this. They scored 143 points against the Hawks, and it doesn't really mean anything. But the fact that they scored anyone scored 143 points is pretty good.
let's face it, the fact that we're even talking about the Knicks means that they did something good, because we've kind of gotten to the point with the show here where we're not talking about the Knicks very much because the Knicks are just not worth talking about. But again, 143 points in regulation. It wasn't even an overtime game, so that's a lot of points. R.J. Barrett had a team-high 27. Mitchell Robinson and Marcus Morris each had 22. And that win gave the Knicks 3 wins in 4 games, which, let's face it, has been an unheard of run for the Knicks over the last several years. So, good for the Knicks. They're still 7-23. They're still awful. They lost the other night to the Milwaukee Bucks, 123-102. The Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, I never can pronounce his last name, but he had a triple-double in that game, 22 points, 11 rebounds, 10 assists, in only 26 minutes. That's pretty good. Ridiculously short amount of time for a triple-double. But, I mean, let's face it, that 3 wins in 4 games might have been the highlight of the Knicks season, because Mike Miller has the Knicks playing better. The interim coach has them playing better than David Fizdale did, but I think that might have been just a short-term kind of situation. I don't necessarily see it as being a long-term fix. The Knicks are still a team in transition, and they still need to get their younger guys some more experience on the NBA level, and allow them to develop.
We'll see what happens.
Kevin,
they need a coach. They're not going to keep this guy.
Yeah, I mean, they need to figure out who the coach is going to be and how that's going to work. And we touched on it last week. Could that coach be Becky Hammond?
Oh, I would love it. I would really would.
Former Liberty guard who is currently an assistant with the San Antonio Spurs. I think it would be a great fit. I would love to see it happen. But if the Knicks decide that she isn't going to be a history-making coach, then they need to figure out who they're going to put in that position and who will be the person to try to develop these young players.
By the way, brother,
that's where they are right now.
By the way, speaking of history-making, Nancy Lieberman is in this year's edition of The Body Issue for ESPN. So
really?
I was like, whoa.
That's a surprise.
She's like 61 years old.
I was going to say, she's not a young person.
No, but she's still showing it, and good for her.
Good for her. Good for Nancy. I mean, I tell you what, if anybody who's in that Body Issue, they work out. They work out like crazy before they get those pictures taken.
That's right.
But you got to have a base to start with, so good for her.
That's true. By the way, brother, Rising Stars tonight at 9 p.m., every Monday at 9 p.m., Rick Eberle plays the best and independent emerging artists from Long Island, New York, and the world. That's Rising Stars every Monday tonight at 9 p.m. right here on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Coming up next in only a few minutes, brother, I know you'll be listening. Big Ed Newlands is in the house. He's cursing the Southern State Parkway as we speak.
Oh, my God. He backed up. Get away from the Meadowbrook.
A traffic report from Ed Newlands there.
Everybody, drive the other way.
Drive the other way. Brother, by the way, quickly, Chelsea defeats Tottenham. What happened?
Oh, what a miserable game that was. I'll tell you what. Here's what I don't like. Jose Mourinho is supposed to be the special one, as he likes to call himself, and it's supposed to be this coach who wins and gets things done. Well, Tottenham has now played 3 teams since his hiring, 3 quality teams. Manchester United, Bayern Munich in the Champions League, and Chelsea. 3 losses.
Oh, my.
So,
Can't do that.
Tottenham has managed to turn things around since his hiring, but they've done so by beating teams. It's almost like the Jets, a soft part of the schedule. So yesterday should have been a win that got Tottenham back into the top 4. Instead, it was one of those 6-point games where now Tottenham is 6 points behind Chelsea as opposed to 3 they were going into the game. And Tottenham was terrible yesterday. Heung-min Son wound up getting a red card. The referees screwed Spurs in the game, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse. Tottenham was dreadful in the first half. My Tottenham group on Facebook, I have never seen these people as angry as they were yesterday, and that includes last year's Champions League loss in the final.
I'm shocked they were that angry, brother. Anyway, brother, we're out of here.
Game.
Big Ed is waiting. He's ready. He's got the oldies lined up on Good Gold, so keep it tuned here. I'll talk to you later, brother. This show will be up on Spreaker in a few minutes if you want to listen to it again, or if you missed part of it, or you just want to hear it again, whatever. We'll see you next week. Happy birthday, Tim. Happy Hanukkah. Happy Christmas. Tim is born on Christmas, so he gets double the presents, of course.
Of course.
And Big Ed's ready. So take care, and bye-bye.
The views expressed on air are not necessarily those of WHPC, its management, or Nassau Community College. Responsible opposing viewpoints will be considered by emailing them to whpc@ncc.edu or by mail at WHPC 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York 11530. Thanks for listening to the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
If you think all the great music has already been written, think again. Hi, I'm Kim Tracy, and I will prove to you that great new music is still being produced today. Join me on High Fidelity every Sunday at 9 a.m. for a mix of music with a focus on new music and lesser-known artists exclusively on the voice of Nassau Community College, worldwide on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn Radio app, nccradio.org, and always on 90.3 WHPC.